Hey there, this is Yasmin.
And this is Sukaina.
We are two friends who were passionate about having authentic and God centered conversations.
We are delighted to have you with us on this exciting journey.
Welcome
Welcome
to
to
Heartful
Heartful
Insights.
Insights. Okay, so tonight's subject is going to be about patience, talk about believing generally before seeing. We're going to talk about
Mhm.
why it is important to do so, the steps also that would help us to believe before seeing. And yeah, we're going to talk about our experiences, what we think, how it's important also to focus on yourself in this specific. This specific part of the journey, and I'll let you, as usual, start if you want.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a great subject for the both of us
Hmm.
because it's actually the basis of our conversations and the idea behind this podcast to begin with. Because believing in something that we cannot see is the way to cultivate what we call unshakable faith in yaqeen. It would be so easy if the steps ahead were clear and visible to everybody. We wouldn't have to do this work and have these kind of conversations if it was, clear. But this is what makes the difference between people who keep following their dreams no matter what happens. And again, referring to our past conversations, cultivating resilience, it's all about this faith in the hidden realm. I don't know if you want to add anything to this layer before we dive deeper into this
Yes.
topic.
No, you're very right. It's actually the heart of what we're talking about in this podcast, or at least in this first part of the podcast. The idea is to actually understand that not everything is logical, and sometimes uh, things do not actually make sense to our brain in a logical way, but it's important to understand that when you have a plan and when you know that it's a part of the experience and you are ready for it, you can manage it better. And I think that generally it is like pretty common to hear people's experiences about religion, or even people who do not really have a religion. They relate to the fact that religion doesn't always make sense and that it's for some delusional. But the truth is, if we take a step back, and I always really try to meditate on that point because it's miraculous for me, especially that I love these things. And I sit and I'm like, oh my God, like maybe 20 years ago, if you could tell me personally, because like now I'm 32, like when I was 10 or 9 years old, we had nothing such as smartphones. We had nothing such as, connection and having the 4G all the time, connecting with people all the time, and getting to see people directly through videos while they're in the other part of the world. And if you tell people these things, they will be like, "Oh my God, this is magic. This isn't possible." But it all started by the fact that someone believed that it was possible and did whatever he had to do to make it possible. And I'm sure they failed a lot through the process, and many people told them it's not possible. I do not believe it. It's delusional. Are you crazy? But today, it's totally normal. And I think it's a bit different. The context is a bit different, but I think it all starts from the fact that not everything that you cannot physically see isn't actually real or isn't actually going to come true. And that's why it's very important to believe in what you want. And one of the things that we're going to talk about, and that are a part of the subjects that we're going to talk about today, is the fact that you need to understand that there is a step where you will be like a crazy person for everyone around you except people who are aligned with what you do. For example, when I tell you something, I'm not afraid. I know you understand. We're at the same level of delusion, if we can say that. But for some others,
Yeah.
maybe if you and
Mhm.
me.
Illusion.
Exactly. But if you go to someone who's very logical, or who isn't aligned, or who isn't as spiritual as we are, he would be like, "This girl is crazy. Like, how can you do this from nothing?" And I think it's very powerful. And I think we should start from first of all defining how we can believe before seeing, starting by the fact that you cannot believe through logic. You need to let go of logic first, because if you just, base everything that you want to do, or everything that you're wishing for, on everything that you're seeing now, it's never gonna happen. Your brain actually uh, catches on the emotions that you feel. And that's the most important part in the law of assumption. And that's why it works for so many people. And that's why it doesn't work for so many people as well. Because I think people get stuck on the fact that in order for you to believe before seeing, you need to be, just visualizing, as we talked, or envisioning. Even like for envisioning, if you just sit and you see something, it's never going to happen, because we have this step in order to achieve whatever we want to achieve, because what you see will create an emotion, and the emotion is what will create what you're striving to have. I still remember I heard, always speaking of Ahmed Aymara, because I love him, as you know, but he said that what is the difference, for example, between you, Yasmin, for example, if you have um, I'm gonna give a random example. Today you're single, tomorrow you're in a relationship. What would be the difference for you if we're gonna be very objective? There is no difference that will change except in physically, but in you as Yasmin. But the thing that will really be different is how you feeling. Because the way you will feel having a husband, maybe having the love of your husband, maybe having the support, maybe having this masculine energy that will, balance. And I can go on and on with the examples, because it can be the same for money, it can be the same for so many things. So the feeling is the only difference between the you who has that thing and the you who doesn't have that thing. So when you catch on the feeling, everything follows. And that's why you should understand that it will not start from something physical. It's all emotion, and it's all gonna start from you feeling and being in that state already happening, or already manifesting. I don't know if you have something to add. I know you have something to add. This subject, please do.
I just love this topic. And I love what you said. It pretty much summarizes the main points of what believing before seeing really implies. What I would love to add, though, is from my own experience, what does help with me feeling like the actual version of me that I'm trying to bring to pass is when I start acting that way. So, as much as it isn't a physical addition in my life, but there are a few things that we have to align with physically. And I'm just going to give an example right here. Let's say I want more money. I don't know, like a better job, high pay, a better house, better environment. Envisioning and feeling like I'm rich can be good, but we cannot maintain it throughout the days and weeks and months. We need something to stick by us throughout the day, because that feeling, that emotion is the secret. So, for example, if before I go to bed and first thing in the morning, I just close my eyes and identify with that version of myself, perhaps listen to a few positive affirmations or even a guided visualization, it's gonna help me. Of course, it's gonna pump my blood. I'm gonna be very optimistic. But once I get out of bed, the way that I choose to dress is either gonna make or break that vibe that I was into a few minutes ago. Okay. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying change your wardrobe and, like buy expensive things. Not at all. Just make better choices. Same
Yes.
budget can get you like, look for people who have a lot of money and that inspire you. Perhaps, and with the current market, we're so lucky because we can have very classy, elegant items that resemble the high-end fashion. That's a very easy thing to do. And when you dress well, when you're always clean, like shower in the morning, like before you go to bed, whatever the routine is, it is gonna help you. The choice of perfumes
Yes.
that you're gonna wear. Before wearing them, you're gonna ask yourself, would the ideal version of me smell like this?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, like small tweaks in your
Yeah.
day, they help a lot. Your house, is it clean? Is it in order? Because, like a rich person, as we know, a good environment implies that it is constantly in order. You cannot be a hoarder and expect things to magically change for you, and then they might, but you would probably not enjoy them as much because it's all in the
Mm-hmm.
process. It's all about
Yes.
the magic of things unfolding as you go,
Mm-hmm.
you know and if we
Yes.
go back to the example that you started with of being single and looking for like wanting to align with your perfect partner, what I
Mm-hmm.
would say is okay, envisioning perfect first step. But what would help is, for example, looking for real life examples. If there are like real life couples who made it after 50 years plus of being married, and you look at them and they're still really happy, this is going to make you believe even more, because now your ideal or what you have on your vision board, like a lifetime healthy partnership, can be possible. You can see it with your own eyes. So that helps a lot. It's no longer just in your mind, it's something that makes you believe in this possibility. Then you go and you choose the movies or TV shows that you feed your mind constantly. And I would say an example, for example, of a Hallmark. A Hallmark, they have a bunch of extremely romantic movies, beautiful movies that give you hope and
Yeah.
healthy partnerships, and most of these movies, I don't want to say most, but some of these movies have been directed by men themselves. So if you're a woman watching this and you want to restore your hope in the goodness of men, then choose better movies to make believe that it is possible for
Mm-hmm.
you. Because look, a man wrote this, a man actually directed this movie. It's not out of the blue. It
Mm-hmm.
must be an ideal. You know what I mean? So,
Yes.
yeah, it all starts with the emotion, but we have to look for real life examples to fuel that energy within us that
Yeah.
we harbor in the morning and then before going to bed, so that it stays with us as much as possible. And then again, I want to reiterate that it's not supposed to be perfect. We're not here to say that you have to maintain this state of being, throughout the day, weeks,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's
Yeah.
ebb and flow. We're human beings, but the more you hold on to that emotion, it has no choice but to come to
Yeah.
pass. It
Yeah.
is a law. So yeah, pretty much that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, very, very good points. Actually, what you said is very important, and it's actually what I wanted to to actually talk about next, and it's the fact that once you start feeling the emotion, I'll stay with the single married thing because I started with it.
Mhm,
For
mhm.
example, today, if I get the emotion and I close my eyes and I imagine myself already married, for example, you start to make your choices, which is what you did and what you talked about, as this person who is married. Because I still remember, I
Yeah.
don't know, I read this, I think in, I can't remember because I bought some Neville Goddard's books. Oh my God, I'm going to share them later. They're really good. And he started from the fact that,
Yeah,
for
please do.
example,
I love that man.
yeah, I know you do. And he said that, for example, if you are today married, how will you be feeling while just waking up in the morning,
Mhm.
just doing your coffee, and it goes with some details that are life changing even for you, because you're as someone who's married and as someone who's single and wants to get married, the difference would be if you wake up, you'll be like, for example, another day single or whatever, or you have to make some choices, or but if you wake up with that mindset of you're already married, you don't have to look for a husband, you don't have to make any effort, you know what I mean? You're already embodying somehow your femininity, You're very chill. You feel like you trust, you're more balanced. And when I did that, even with work, you feel that you actually are not asking from a place of lack, but you're asking or you're acting from a place of your wish fulfilled and from peace and trust and surrender. And this is what it is all about. Because today, if I wake up, whether married or single, employed or unemployed, the only difference, for example, if I'm unemployed, I'll be like, oh my God, I don't know if by the end of this month I'll be able to buy this or that. But if you are unemployed, but you know for a fact this is happening and your wish is fulfilled and you start acting from there, you won't think about these things. You will start making other decisions. You're going to make a decision based on the fact that you already worked, that you're already flourishing in whatever you're doing, that you love what you're doing, that it's your purpose. And even, for your brain, it's miraculous because it touches on different places in the brain, because a place that actually triggers fear and anxiety and uncertainty is not the same as a place in your brain where and you're planning and you're actually trusting more, and you're it's like the circumstances of or the tools you're using, which is your brain for us as a human, actually work differently when you act from different places or from different emotions. So it's really miraculous. And the fact that you start acting from those places actually help you build some new circuits in your brain, which is insane. Just acting from the emotion, not even experiencing it. So the emotion is truly the key. And the thing is, the most important thing to know generally is that all emotions come from your thoughts. And generally, some people start with the thoughts, but it's always, or most of the times, it's very hard, but it's easier to actually connect to your emotion in order to get in touch with the thoughts that are behind, because most of the thoughts are in your subconscious. So it's really hard to catch on them, especially if it's traumas, if it's things you learned in your childhood. So it's really smart to manipulate the emotion because it leads you directly to some other stories you tell yourself and to the thoughts you tell yourself. So it's like a shortcut for you to actually go beyond whatever caused what you're living today and to act from a place of emotion, which is even when you're envisioning or visualizing, it's uh it's more pleasing, when you're just laying down and you imagine something that you really want. It doesn't feel fake and it doesn't feel forced. It comes from a place of, it would be great if I could have this, So it's even more enjoyable in the beginning.
Yeah.
Now, because we're talking about believing before seeing, you should know that at some point it's not going to be always that sure and always that certain, because there is a place where silence is really embarrassing. And I think this is the place where I'll let you lead because this is your thing. And it is, again, why, as you said last time, not everyone can be a believer, a real believer, because of the things you go through in the process. So this is what makes you a real believer
Mhm.
or makes you actually quit and leave this.
Give up. Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. But I mean, before I go there, I just want to add something because what you touched based on is really, really important. Um, this idea of holding on to the emotion is key. Yeah. But then there's a way to get there, I guess. And it's being extremely, like crystal clear about what it is that you want. Because you might think that you actually do want to be married. You might actually think that you want a better job, that you want a lot more money. But are you really ready? And are there no blocks like from you? And I'm gonna give a real life example from my side. So before my engagement ended, I thought, like I was super ready. Yeah, so I met this guy. He was pretty much my list come true, my vision board come true. He was everything, which is a good lesson in and of itself. These things are real, right? Up to the most boring detail. Eye color, hair color, everything you would want. So along the way, there were a few issues because of which the engagement had to end. And then this silence phase happened, as I started to really reflect and really be honest about myself, about what it is I was feeling at that point. I realized that I did not miss the relationship and that I was actually feeling some kind of relief, which was weird, which was mind blowing. I was ready to actually start a life with this person. Like, I was ready to dive all in. And then as I started digging deeper and deeper, I found that I was actually so terrified of the idea of losing my independence. Like, and I thought that I went beyond this. And by independence, I'm not saying I want to go out past midnight. I want to have, like late nights with friends or none of these things. It's just that knowing myself as a person, I do need my space. Even when I'm surrounded by my loved ones, I love spending time with people I love. But at a certain point, I need to retract and sit somewhere and just not talk. I need to recharge. I consider myself to be an ambivert. So I can be extremely extroverted when needed, but then I need a lot of time to get my energy back. And then when I realized this and I faced the truth, it was like a lamp had turned on inside my head. It was like, yeah, this is true. Because at first, I couldn't identify the reason why this breakup didn't feel so significant. I almost felt guilty. It's like, was I not serious? But then when I realized that it was about this and the fact that he did not share this value of mine, and this is like a really important principle that I have that I was willing to give up on. Because, like, to him, a couple means fusion completely, heart, body, and soul. We have to do almost everything together. Like, you
Mm,
want to go biking? We're going to do this together. You know, like he had this idea, which is good. It's perfect. It works for a lot of people. But I know it would never work for me to do everything together with somebody.
yeah.
That's just sometimes I would want to be in the living room all on my own, not talk, and I still love you so much. It's not the way I show love. It's okay if there's some, but still.
Mm-mm.
And so when I realized this, I was kind of relieved in a way because it was a huge block. Because every time I used to think about marriage, although like I had feelings for this man and everything, but some part of me was reluctant. And bear in mind, I thought I was really ready. I got everything I needed. I was planning the party, whatever. I thought I was ready. But I was cynical about this one detail that seemed like a detail, but it wasn't. It was actually a deal breaker for me. And I have now the opportunity to really, face it. And then what I did was start looking around me. Are there any couples who share this idea of mine, who share this outlook, who still work? And I was surprised at the amount of people who share the same, thinking pattern.
Mm.
They really
Yeah.
think that some distance actually does benefit the relationship that they're in. And I have a close family member who was married to a pilot. They see each other 3, 4 times a week and they work perfectly well. They're both retired right
Mm.
now. They got a farm. They spend a lot of time together, but still they do have their own, space and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And a lot of people are vouching for this idea, saying that actually having some space you to choose to be loyal and to trust in their loyalty. Because so many people,
Yeah.
and this is the idea that I got from my previous relationship, is that that constant being together is oftentimes a form of insecurity. It's like I have to keep you in order to make sure that I'm not doing anything wrong and you're not doing anything wrong. But that's not how life works, I guess. You know?
Mm-mm. It's
So
a lack of trust for me.
yeah, so this is what I wanted to add is being extremely clear. Mhm. So I mean, being very, very clear and sure about the goal that you're pursuing and doing this introspection work and
Yeah.
feeling 100% sure about your desire is what's going to give you that feeling that you described so well of, "Oh, this feels good. It feels good to be in this kind of relationship." Like in my
Yeah.
head, when I used to envision myself in that kind of relationship with that person, I did not get that feeling of, no. It was like,
Mm.
hmm, I hope this works.
Hmm.
And as the Judge Faith, she's an awesome judge, and she does also vlogs, and she has a very interesting story that she shares with people about her marriage. And I love this quote that she always repeats: you cannot be cynical about love and still attract love. And I'm talking about
Mm.
genuine partnerships. You have to
Yeah.
find a way, like, put all your effort into erasing cynicism from your being about the thing that you want. At least, I'm not because oftentimes we don't do the introspection work. We just try to feel the emotion, and we think it's enough. But aside
Yes.
from feeling the emotion, we have serious blocks that we aren't aware of. So,
Exactly. That's a very good point because I think that through, or at least in my experience, and of course, it's important to do the introspection because it's It's, for example, for the example that you gave, I cannot imagine my life with someone who's always with me. And you know me, I'm more social than you are. Like, it's not even about that. But I know for a fact, I think when you're,
Mhm.
when you've come to 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 know yourself and to understand your needs, you know that you are a human and the other person is a human, and I can love you tremendously. And because I love you a lot, I'll definitely need my me time or travel by myself, or I don't know, in order to come back for you as a full person. But being always together, I think it's an attachment. It's not love for me, in my in my perspective. I respect people who experience love that way,
Yeah.
but I truly don't think it's a healthy
Yeah.
one. But I have a question. This is gonna get interesting. I have a question.
Yeah.
When before
Sure.
manifesting this, did you envision how it would feel like? And when you envisioned it to get this feeling, because we talked about a specific process. So you start by envisioning what would be great for you get that emotion, and you get some details,
Hmm.
hopefully. And then when you meet someone or you work at that place that felt the same, depending on the subject, for me, it's very important to actually compare. Do you feel the same? Like, for example, if today I envision a great job and I envision, so I let the vision come to me. So I close my eyes and I just feel it come in. And, I feel that my heart is bigger and I'm feeling good because this is it. We're not supposed to put details, and details would come eventually. So, same for your relationship. When you envisioned the
Yeah.
great relationship,
Yeah.
did you get
Yeah.
the same emotion when you met that guy?
Okay. So here's the full disclosure. When I met this person, I did Sanat Istikhara over 20 times, I guess. Like every time we would get into some kind of argument or whatever, something that felt off, I would get up and do istikhara. So I cannot say that it felt exactly as it did feel during the envisioning process, which I think was good for me because I never put him on a pedestal. Like, this is it. You know what I mean? And this is how I think we should all proceed with anything that we are after, either a relationship, a work. Never put anybody or anything on a pedestal. Always expect anything from anybody. However, the point being is this guy was amazing, and he still is. He really is a great person. Like, he treated me the best way possible. Flowers, beautiful words, kind words, wonderful dates. And that matched the energy of my envisioning was the peace I used to feel with him. Now,
Okay.
remember, the peace, like no matter the chaos, no matter the arguments, I felt that sense of peace
Hmm.
that this guy is not gonna hurt me, like physically and, things like that.
Safety. Yeah.
However, I was never able, I was never able to share everything with him. Something was constantly
Oh,
blocking me from being vulnerable with this person,
oh, okay.
which had to be a red flag for me from the get-go. I never felt
Yeah.
safe enough to, and it was actually something that he was frustrated about
Hmm.
because he used to share almost everything with me, and I felt so guilty. And I felt that it was so unfair to him
Hmm.
because there he was, an open book, sharing all his vulnerabilities. And there I was. As soon as I share something, I feel bad, and I just tell myself, okay, next time there's no need to. So, was it his reaction? Was it my walls being up? I don't know. But that had to be a red flag from the get-go. Because going forward right now, this is going to be added to my list, which was not the case
Exactly.
before. It's not something that I paid attention to. I
Mm,
didn't know it was important.
yeah.
But through this experience, I now realize that the most important thing in a relationship is being able to truly be able to express everything
Yeah.
within me.
Of
I mean,
course.
I never fully agree with the idea that you need to share everything with the other person. No, that's not what I'm saying. Like, we're still private people, and there are still things that we would never want to share with anybody, right? But what I'm saying is something that is frustrating me. I feel weak about a situation. I want to feel like I can share that without being judged, without being given advice,
Mm,
without, just someone who's there
yeah.
to genuinely um, encompass
Mm-hmm.
me as well as that weakness and as well as that insecurity,
Yeah.
which is something that I have not experienced in that relationship.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what it is all about, having a crystal clear vision of what you want, basically doing a real introspection work on what might be blocking you, what your limiting beliefs about the thing that you're going after are, and actually putting them on paper. Write them down. If it's something that scares you, try to see, try to look for other examples that might align with the way you see the situation. If your block comes purely from fear, turn it into a positive affirmation. If it's purely fear and it's not a value that you have. And so I believe that once we do this work of shifting from being a little bit cynical about the thing that we want, and we start really feeling good about our desire, like that feeling of, oh, this feels perfectly good, I would totally live like this.
Yes.
Once you get there, I would suggest starting small, something super practical, very easy to do. Start with small prayers. Although no prayer is small, all prayers are significant because they allow you to see the goodness of God. However, try with that. For example, I want to order a takeout. And I want it to be the most delicious meal I ever tasted. Not only that, but let it be a large portion. I want to feel full and have some left over, for example, whatever. Decide. And then once you do that, so your brain can easily believe in this, right? It's because it's feasible. There are many good restaurants out there you can get takeout from. And then sit with yourself, close your eyes, and see yourself after having the meal. Reflect, like get there, like you finished, and see yourself talking to God, saying, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This truly is the most delicious thing I've ever tasted. And look, I have some leftover food right now and I'm full. Like, see yourself doing that thing, like living that end goal. If it is, for example, a parking spot in a jammed area, in a parking mall, for example, or whatever, see yourself getting there easily. A car just came out of that spot. It's like it's been divinely guarded for you. It's been kept only for you. See, people are stressed out, but you're there feeling good, feeling peaceful. And then as you start to witness these small prayers, as we call them, between brackets, quotation marks, because then again, no prayer is too small. Your brain, your neuroplasticity is gonna get better and better and better, and you're gonna start to believe in bigger things much easier. Perhaps not on a very noticeable level, but you will, whether you want it or not. But take note,
Yes.
like write the details of those answered prayers,
Yeah,
whatever it is. You want a specific laptop or phone, pray about it. Pray to God to get you the most perfect machine engine that you need, that you're going to be so satisfied with that you would never regret purchasing. Something that's going to really make you feel good after putting money on for it, and
yeah,
get the feeling after using it. See it in your mind. I'm using it and I'm like, gosh, this is really a good deal. I found the best deal on the market. And write that down. And you start going bigger and bigger and bigger. And then as
definitely.
you start to look back on these experiences, you're going to see a pattern. God is the most generous. If he can grant you a very delicious meal that's more than enough, that parking spot, that amazing machine, he can obviously grant you that amount of money, that ideal spouse. But each thing has its timeline. Some things might take longer to
Definitely.
get to, which is completely fine. But it's
Definitely.
all about nurturing that belief, starting small.
Exactly. You talked about two very important subjects. First one is to have this, to be introspective, and I think it's very important. Relationships are generally your mirror. So if you're not someone who knows what you want and who knows what you need and who knows what you cannot actually stand and you cannot live with, it will be really hard for you to know what suits you. And as an answered prayer, and sometimes it's very important to stop at this because you talked about your experience, and I know that I experienced that myself in different ways, is that sometimes in order for you to meet your person or the person with whom you want to feel this peace and there are so many things that you need to heal. I don't believe that everything you need to heal gets to be healed through relationships or romantic relationships. Not all of it, because if so, I mean, it's gonna be hard. But I think that sometimes some relationships are here to to actually show you that this is what you don't want, because as much as we talk about what we want in a relationship, it's very important to know what we don't want and what we cannot actually stand. When we're talking about partnership, we're talking about marriage, we're talking about partnership, we're talking about someone we're going to share our present and future with, our vulnerabilities, our weakest moments, and our biggest dreams. And it's someone who's going to see us in all the possible ways. You can be as private as you want. I mean, your husband, in the Quran, they say it's a miracle. It's, I mean, ayatollah for a reason. It's someone you're going to be literally naked, emotionally with. And it's not something easy. And as much as we think that, yes, fairy tales, yes, but you will need to find your match really, and you will need to be doing a really good work on yourself, on knowing what you need, and knowing what actually your purpose is somehow. And of course, you're gonna get to grow together, and you're not gonna be perfect before you meet him. But I think there is a level that you need to achieve in order for you to meet the right person. So sometimes answered prayers come through experiences, because those experiences are gonna lead us to know, as you said, what we want more, and to actually put it as a core value because it wasn't before, maybe. And I think we should always remind ourselves, especially people like me and you and many people who listen to us maybe, that we are on earth. We're still not in paradise. So there are things that are going to be great and that you're going to pray about and that are going to come constantly to your life the way you want it to be. But there are things that need a process. And I think that this is the difference between life and paradise, like Jannah, when we're going to die. Because eventually, once you think about something, it's going to come true. But in real life, I think we need to adapt to the fact that a part of the beauty of life is to discover yourself, to discover what you want, and that's hopefully when you're guided by God and you're doing istikhara and you're praying and you're trying to do the right things, you're gonna be guided and you're gonna be doing it
Okay.
in a good
Okay.
way, and you're
Yeah.
gonna be protected somehow through the process. You won't be in chaos or not knowing where you're going and just, experiencing this and that. You're gonna be having a clear intention to actually meet someone with whom you're gonna share a purpose, a partner, your backbone, whatever your criteria is. So it's very important to be open-minded about this, about the possibility of this, and to be humble enough to accept it, in my opinion. That's what I came to understand. And as you said, a very important point is that everything has a timeline and that you need to surrender. As Islam is all about surrendering, you need to surrender and to be humble enough to always, always, always know for a fact that everything is happening for you and that it's for your own good, and that again, before seeing your dream coming true, you know it's happening and you know that this is the process. You don't know when, you don't know how, but it's gonna happen, and it's gonna, and everything that you're experiencing now, your only job is to take the best out of it, to understand and to do your work, to do your part, to be honest in the relationship, to be loyal, to be authentic, and to do your part. And if you're gonna leave, for example, because we're talking about relationship, leave on good terms while having respect for that person, while keeping both your images clean and respectful. I think this is the part that on social media it's not well represented, because all the people who leave each other, it's always chaos, and unfortunately, but I think it's very important to stick to your values, because your real values show when it's really hard, and divorce or breakups are very hard, and this is where the essence of who you are shows. And it's not always easy. So I really pray that we get to have the courage first to stick to our values when we're tested, and to stick to believe in what we want, even if it's not as easy or as perfect as we imagined it to be, to trust the process and to trust, to surrender, very important. And this is something we're going to talk about later because it's a whole subject, to surrender, and to actually be really humble, to always question yourself and to ask the question that you always talk about, Yasmin, which is, what is it? That I should learn from this experience? What is this experience showing me? Because everything that happens happens for a reason, and I do not believe in coincidences at all. And yeah, so that's a part which is very important that you talked about, to be introspective. Now, the other part that you talked about, which is also very interesting, and even science uh, talked about this a lot. It's not just a feeling or a personal experience, it's something that's really science-based. And it's the fact that you need to create um, a pattern or a belief that what you wish for actually comes true. Your brain or your subconscious should actually understand that, for example, if you had a dream, and I do this very often when I feel like I visualize something very stupid. Like it could be just going to a place and, having your hair fly and feeling peaceful in front of the sea. It could be really stupid because I'm delusional and romantic. It could be this. And if I visualize it
Mhm.
and I do it in real life, in your brain, it's a pattern that you envisioned it and you did it in reality. So when you do it again and again, and as you described perfectly, starting with really small things, there's also this yellow butterfly effect that people talk about on Instagram now, that you can start by just manifesting a yellow butterfly, or, anything, like anything. And it would be really great, on the top of what you said, if you get back to something you've been like visualizing or really wanting to do for a long time, because the impact of this one would be really like more intense, and bigger. If it's something that you wanted to do since you were young, or just a childish dream, something really stupid, and you do it now, starting your journey, you're really starting right. And it can be something, as you said, really small, but it's really indeed very important to for your subconscious to actually have this information, that what you visualize you have in real life. And once it's stabilized, once it's done, it's going to be easier for you to manifest. Another thing that you used to tell me, and I think it's really powerful. I still remember, because we share pretty much everything. So many things. So my journey. For example, that at some point I wanted this, and then I prayed for it, or we sat and talked about it, and then it came true, or not. And often, shaitan makes us forget all the things we wished for and that came true, or all the
Yeah.
dua that was fulfilled. And this is something you told me, and it was powerful, especially when you're feeling down. You forget
Yeah.
everything. You're like, I'm not
Yeah.
lucky. My life is really bad. Look at this. This always happens to me. And I swear to God, there is no human on earth. And I really, really mean what I say. There is no human on earth that actually really thinks in an objective way when he says, I'm unlucky and everything that happens to me is bad. Sure, when you say that, you start to attract that. But I'm sure, and I do this pretty much, I do this a lot with people I know who are very negative. At some point, I'm tired and I'm like, okay, let's sit. Let's start from the beginning. So tell me this and that, and you will see that men, and he'd be like, yeah, that's true. This actually happened. This actually came true. This, I said that, and yes, it happened. And truly, if we can just start with what already happened and change the scenario or the story we tell ourselves about it, and be fair with God, because God has
Mm-hmm.
really been
Mm-hmm.
very generous with us, all of us. I
Absolutely.
and this is something that when you told me, it opened my eyes, because you told me, because I told you, no, I feel like I'm unlucky and this and that, and you told me, did you forget when you said this and it happened, and when you said this and that? And I was like, oh my God, that's very true.
Sure.
And it's
I keep
it's
some notes for you. I take notes for you. Don't worry.
thank
Okay.
you. I need it. Yeah. So
No, yeah, that's
yeah, I
amazing.
think this is
That's a beautiful way to wrap it up, actually,
yeah.
and lay the ground for our next episode, which is also going to be extremely rich with tangible ways we can start indulging
Hmm.
in order to cultivate that belief before we see our desires come to pass. We're going to get a little bit more practical. So, in this episode, for instance, we talks about the theoretical part of what believing before seeing is, and then we shared our personal experiences, examples, which is also rich in a way.
Hmm.
But next episode, we're going to have like a list of things um, that we all can start doing, like present moment, to cultivate this unshakable faith that this series is really all about. And yeah, We hope you're all gonna join us next episode. It's
Yes,
gonna
I'm
be
so
fun.
excited for this.
So
Can you
excited for
imagine
it.
this is the fifth episode we're recording and I'm very happy. You know, I if there's just one person who comments and listen to one of our podcasts, I'll be super happy at this point.
Yeah, of course, because we are having fun and we're
Yeah.
hoping that the right people are going to be driven to listen to us. And they're technically your friend, you know?
Yeah.
Anyone joining this vibe is part of the circle. So welcome. And we're
Yeah.
happy to have you.
Yeah, we're very happy that you're listening, and we hope that we can be this voice that would be with you through your journey and just bring some light, just like we needed some light and we found each other. I hope that you can
Mhm.
find us in your journey. And yeah, so much love for you guys. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
It's been really great.
Mhm.
And yeah, see you in the next episode.
Next time.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.